an arrowhead would pop out of me or something like that. And it doesn't matter where I go these days. I seem to have symbols of wealth cross my path in the form of treasure, or I'm always finding money.
Or what else did you find? Do you want to share what you just found?
Yeah.
Something I found a while ago. So as I said, I like historical areas, and I like being in places where there's lots of rich history. And so I was out hiking on the island, I should say. I was out hiking on the island with my lady Sarah, and we were walking through the woods when
literally
we
nothing
on a human skull. So as long as I've been on this planet, I've been finding interesting things, but I never did expect that.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy. And yes, to the people out there watching, I did handle it properly. I called the RCMP immediately.
It's not like he dug it up or anything.
No. Actually,
puts it on his bookshelf.
Drinking wine out of this. But no, growing up, finding ancient artifacts and stuff like that, or just seeing them in the dirt or walking over them, I've expected to find things that probably shouldn't be there. Because I mean, I do this a lot. I'm out any day off I get. I'm out walking around, looking at the ground, seeing what's out there, and. So me and my lady stumbled upon this skull. So what I did is I called the RCMP, I made the report, and immediately they thought that some head had washed up in the surf or something like that, so they were handling it quite seriously. But then when I told them that the area I was walking in was actually, it's a national park, but there's like a 1,500-year-old native village there. So I was walking around on the beach, and we saw a good photo op up on the rocks, so we climbed up these cedar roots, and that's where the skull was sticking out. So immediately what I did is I pulled out my pouch of tobacco, I left an offering, and I've always got my smudges in my backpack, like sage or sweetgrass. So I pulled out my smudge, and I did a nice smudge ceremony for me, the person that we had just discovered, and my lady who I was with. And then when we got out there and down the trail, I called the RCMP. So apparently it's a common thing that ancient archaeology in the form of human remains will wash out of the high surf.
Oh, no way, cool.
I was a little disappointed in how they completely took my word for it. I mean, thanks for trusting me. But when I told them that there was a skull, they took it seriously and they started to do a police report. But then when I told them it was Native American, they're like, oh, we'll just email the native band.
What a surprise. I'm just saying.
The native burial is treated like a dog's grave. So I'm really happy that I was the one who found that. Of all the kayakers or hikers or people who walk in that park who could have found that, most people, because they're human, and humans are opportunists, and curiosity gets the best of them, if they find what they think is a skull, they're going to dig it out to make sure that it is a skull. But as soon as I found it, I knew exactly what it was. This particular band of natives who are descended from this ancestor that I found, they believe that if anybody comes in contact with their ancestors, that their ancestors' spirits will leap directly into you. I may be a little bit off on that, but I do know that the archaeologist who mans that area. Okay. I do know the archaeologist who documents that area. Before he has to go into an ancestral spot, the local natives do a ceremony for him, and they put war paint on him. So I had read this before I'd gone in there. I knew that it was like a nice little area to be. But yeah, once we found that skull immediately after getting down there. So when we were walking along the beach and seeing like arrowheads and artifacts and stuff, we said, no, those belong to the descendants of the ancestor that we just found. So if any of you ever are out there and you do discover anything, please have lots of respect. We do live in a place along the coast where body parts have washed up before. When I was a kid, we used to hear about things like that.
I remember there was a foot. I remember
there were feet.
Yeah.
There were feet washing up all the time when we were kids along the coast.
That's weird.
And that was from all the gang activity, is what the news had said. So, I mean, there are chances of people finding stuff like that.
Legalize cannabis, less gangs.
Yeah.
Less feet washing up.
Less feet washing up.
So you brought in a couple of these cool artifacts. You should totally take a bong rip and then show us some of these cool
Yes, I will
artifacts
take
that you
the
brought
honor.
in.
Thank you for giving me that.
You're welcome. That's what we're here for.
That's what we're
Help
here
everyone
for.
get high.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, hi.
J-Max high as fuck. What else is new?
Yeah. Here, you can use my new carb cap from Blaze Glass.
Ooh,
it's a treat.
I'm just gonna take this moment to load this bong with some Afghani hash as well.
Oh, for sure.
So
Here,
we
did
have
you
a
want
pipe
some
and a
weed
bong.
to base it there?
Sure.
There you go.
Weed screen. Nice little weed screen.
Always helps. I always like doing a little weed screen with my hash. Nothing's worse than like pulling through a bowl of hash and then seeing that like unburned chunk just like go all the way through.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. There you go. Oh, didn't even use it.
They're on the wrong source.
There we go.
It's so pretty and pink, and a matching dabber that has a diamond cut opal in it.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, that thing's nice.
Yeah, so it's Blaze Glass and as well as my mini fab egg. So, and I actually found out a couple weeks ago that this in behind this opal has Illuminati. Now he might have told me, but I clearly wasn't paying attention. But there's Illuminati in there.
Very cool. I'm hitting my Piece by Nico BH glass today. The matching carb cap, matching pendy. And I've got my Sugar Face art dabber that I'm using with my opaline in it that I love so much.
My friend Tessa actually made a dabber with a bunch of crystals in it, and she's now making little keychains that are little bongs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and she's selling them for $8. So you can hit her up on Instagram. It's West Coast Gypsy, and there's dots between the West and the Coast and Gypsy. No, she's making these little keychains, and they're like little bongs.
Yep.
So they're like little bong chains or like keychains or whatever.
And it's like a functional bong?
No, they're made from bees.
Oh,
I guess I should have explained that a little bit better.
Like macrame or something like that.
Yeah, a
like
little bit.
bead embroidery or whatever.
Yeah, but it's little
however you
bongs,
would
so they're
word
different
that.
colors. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome. So did you want to show us off the artifacts
I do.
really quick?
So I when I was a kid, my dad always told me about how he was down in Kentucky in the early 70s, late 70s, finding arrowheads. Hey, J-Mac. Hey, J-Mac.
J-Mac. What?
Hey, brother. So in the 1970s, my dad was always down finding ancient arrowheads in Kentucky and stuff like that. So growing up, I had been asking Celeste's mom, Kathy, who was my First Nations teacher in elementary school, like, where did he find these and whatnot? And she had taught me the respect behind certain areas, certain artifacts belong to certain people. So that was beautiful, being able to learn that you can't just go out somewhere and pick an artifact up. You have to know the people, and you have to have permission from the people to be around there, and they have to know you're there. So that being said, I've actually brought 2 arrowheads from the shoe swap where me and Celeste are from, and I'm borrowing these from a collection from a friend of mine who is shoe swap native, and he allowed me to bring these on the show. And here we have a shoe swap Horizon Tradition arrowhead.
Very cool.
And now this is ancient. This has been not pulled out of the ground, but it had washed out along the surface. And that's another reason why surface archaeology is different than actual archaeology, because scientists can tell what are in those layers. Like when you dig down into those layers, scientists can tell what each layer means. When the weather or the changing seasons causes one of these to spit out and onto the beach, it's no longer existing in that layer. So you can pick these up and give them to your local native band. It's probably the best thing to do because it belongs to them, or just leave and then tell your native band, because there are always descendants of people in the local area who were descended from the ancestors of these humans. And also just having, hey Jeremiah, we got Jeremiah here.
You got Jeremiah
Yeah.
Vandermeer in the house.
Very happy to have Jeremiah here.
Here, Jeremiah, come enjoy some of this hash bowl.
Oh, hash bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some hash bowl.
Am I?
We're just setting the tone to
Hello.
be a happy show.
It is a happy show.
We've
sure.
We've got a pretty upsetting
always
topic
happy.
to discuss, so we're just
Well, we're
starting
cannabis
it out
people.
nice and light with some cool artifacts.
We take our knocks in stride. That's the good thing about being cannabis people is we're able to deal with our stresses, and then we can think clearly about what we're going to do in the future.
And hash helps.
Hash helps big time.
Hash me outside. How about dabs?
Yeah.
Hash helps.
Hashtag hash helps.
Start it, guys.
Of course, of course.
All right. So what was the other one that you had to show off here?
Well, I've got a chunk of mammoth tusk. So I mean,
Now, how did you know that's what that was?
I didn't
'Cause
find
would've
this.
assumed
I
it
didn't
was
find this on the
driftwood.
ground actually.
Okay.
I was actually at a flea market and I found this.
Oh.
And I paid $80 for it, and it's worth way more than that. It's a chunk of fossilized mammoth ivory, and it's an exterior chunk of a tusk. But if you just, I don't know. It's weird how I ended up gaining luck of finding things out of the dirt and in the ground. And then in the rest of my life, I've ended up finding treasure in thrift stores and flea markets and stuff like that. I once went into a thrift store in the shoe swap and I found a Bible from 1805 printed at Oxford Press. And these Bibles are worth thousands.
What happened?
Is everything okay?
It's been working.
It's been working?
Going off
Oh, nice.
Wi-Fi.
We've been going off Wi-Fi.
I was
We just
watching you guys.
Sorry about the scare there, guys. We just didn't have the internet plugged in.
Almost thought
Yeah.
we had technical.
I watched you guys a little bit
We've been
when I was
going off
cruising over here.
Wi-Fi.
watching us.
Oh, did you?
I
Oh,
watched
it rats me out for watching, does it?
It does.
You know, it's
We know when
remarkable
you
how
watch it.
much this substance that grew out of a living life form looks exactly like tree bark.
Like wood grain, hey?
Yeah, it basically is wood.
Well, the guy who I got that off of, he was friends with a miner up in the Yukon. And up in the Yukon in the permafrost, they find mammoth remains all the time. So if anybody wants to buy any mammoth tusks, go up to the Yukon and start asking some industrial or commercial miners, because they'll have access to this stuff. So this guy I got this off of, he had like many chunks of this, and he was sending it off to Thailand to have it carved into these mammoth tusk pendants. And I ended up telling the guy that, like, you know, I bring the treasure from the land, and that I go out and I find all these things. And he gave me that chunk for $80, you know, which is totally amazing. Sometimes you just get those deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, that chunk there is, you know, quite a few pounds, and mammoth ivory, fossilized mammoth ivory is worth a lot by the pound. So,
Very
you know,
cool.
you just never know when an artifact's going to cross your path.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It seems to be working. I see you guys, or I see us guys over here.
Saved it now.
Yeah. Was it okay? Oh, did something happen?
We were still on Wi-Fi. It was
Oh,
just trying to
it's
do
just
the best
choppy.
we could off of that, so it was
Yeah.
choppy. So now we got our hard line.
yeah.
in.
It looks
We got
good.
Audio picked up. I just had to read just a little.
Looked good. It looked good. When I was driving over here, it looked good too.
Save the day.
Cabbing, I wasn't driving.
Awesome.
But-
So we have Jeremiah Vandermeer here.
Hi, everyone.
Good to have you, Jeremiah.
Very good to have
It's good to be
you.
back. It's good to be back in the country. Our Spain trip was cut a little short by the brutal oppression of Justin Trudeau and his thuggish police here in the city of Vancouver, also in Toronto. Unfortunately, yes, everybody that's watching probably knows the story already. Mark and Jody arrested in Toronto. This place raided. Cops actually came into this building here at 307 West Hastings for the first time in a hell of a long time.
How many years? When was
Papered up
last
the
time they came
windows.
in?
I'm not sure when the last time police actually were in the building, because they do come in for certain things. If there's drunks or crazy people or whatever, or, sometimes they occasionally will bring a rookie cop in and to show the place off to them. But there haven't been cause raiding for many, many years, since before I was here. So it's over 10 years. Yeah. And, last time they were raiding was related to Mark's seed business. And they put Mark away for 5 years in the United States because they worked secretly with the DEA because they couldn't do it alone for it here in Canada. So Mark and Jody have a whole bunch of different charges. Brittany Ann, also from Cannabis Culture, Hamilton, lots of charges. And Chris and Aaron Goodwin, who are part owners of the Church Street location of Cannabis Culture, formerly Cannabis Culture. Yeah, they're all facing a lot of charges. Now, Chris was just coming down off some charges, Aaron too, so they've breached some of their bail or all of these kinds of things. Mark could be in some trouble, but again, I think as many of the people that have been writing articles have pointed out, this one's probably going to be thrown out. I think it will be. I hope it will be. It should be, because it's unconstitutional. It's wrong for them to do this. It's wrong for them to target Mark and Jody. They target 5 of the top activists in the country all at the same time. It's obviously political. All the other dispensaries are being left alone.
All these dispensaries that are apparently illegal, but there's over 150 dispensaries, and you target however many out of them.
We gotta smoke a joint, because this is a topic we need to smoke a joint.
How
over.
many
But I wanna show
dispensaries
off this
are there
tasty
across the
bud
city?
Before we roll it up, some tasty Moby Dick from Cannabis Culture in Vancouver. Oh, this is gonna take 3 seconds.
Oh yeah, now they can see.
Yeah, we're good?
On that camera, not the bud cam.
No? Okay. Oh, put it on the webcam. Okay. Doing arm workout.
And 1 and 2 and 1.
Black. I just see blackness.
I just see blackness.
Oh, there we go.
I see blackness.
The Moby.
Oh, that was a good one.
That's some delicious Moby Dick from our Cannabis Culture Dispensary on The Village. That's the name of those ones. All the other stores remain Cannabis Cultures, and as far as I know, they're all open for business, every single one of them. So all of ours are open for business, and I have confirmation from the other ones are too. So we're moving forward. We're going strong. Mark and Jody have been arrested. They're not allowed to have anything to do with the company anymore. Jody's not allowed to be an owner of Cannabis Culture anymore, at least until the charges are withdrawed, thrown out, or we win this case in court. So, but we at Cannabis Culture are moving forward. There's a lot more of us here, and we're not going to give up this mission no matter what happens. It doesn't matter who they come after and who they arrest. This company will continue and will go on and on and on. They'll have to arrest every single damn person in the entire company before we give up. So, and that's not going to happen. So Cannabis Culture will be here for a long time. We'll continue to be, and that's our pledge. We're going to keep continuing to fight for the rights of cannabis consumers and growers and providers on every level, and end this injustice that's been waged against our community for so long. It seems endless, you know.
Well, and
We thought it was over.
every time they do this,
Happy 420.
happy 420, everyone.
Almost got the joint rolled in time.
Every time they do
You need
this
to
to
pass
the
that bong
Prince
around.
of Pot, they're just making him more of a king, to be honest. So
Yeah.
we take our knocks and we take them in stride, and eventually Mark and Jody will be the king and queen, because that's all they're doing. That's all they're doing is just giving us more momentum in my eyes.
So we talked a little bit on some other shows about the perspectives, and I've shared my perspective a bit about what it was like being one of the employees at 307 during the raids. But for you, Jeremiah, I can imagine it would be a really weird thing, because I would have been personally really frustrated not being able to come down here myself and be here in person. So what was it like for you hearing about these raids and being in another continent and not being able to...
I wasn't even there yet. I was like halfway there in Paris, actually, when it first started happening, when I heard about it. And so I was like in between planes. And yeah, it's extremely frustrating being totally, taken away from the place that I love so much when all this was happening. And yeah, I obviously the whole thing wasn't an accident when they timed all this for. They hit Mark and Jody. They knew every location they were at. They got them getting out of an Uber cab on their way to the Toronto airport, actually just getting out at the Toronto airport. So the police have been surveilling them. It's very likely that police are surveilling many people related to cannabis culture. We're not sure. The police have definitely been in the neighborhoods cruising. We've heard reports of their vans cruising around and stuff, watching. So, we're not sure we're not sure if this is ongoing or not, but it doesn't really matter because we're not going to stop. We know we are doing what's right. We're one of many dispensaries in the city of Vancouver that are doing the same thing. We're all fighting a really good fight. We are making an example for the future. A lot of people ask us, well, why don't you guys just stop until legalization gets here? They've been telling us that legalization is going to get here for how many years now? How many people, what about Chrétien telling us about decriminalization? Or go back even further. Go to some of the reports from Senate committees. Go back, even the original Trudeau was talking about decriminalization or legalization. He was a hash smoker.
So that was like 40 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
40 plus years ago.
No, we're not going to wait. The only reason we got to this place right now where we have access to medical marijuana and we're going to have access to recreational, we have dispensaries all over the place, that's because we broke those laws and we challenged them in court and then we changed them. The only reason we have a medical program that's actually there and is allowed by the government is because we won the right to in court. No politician ever made those rules by themselves. No politician ever came forward to make positive reforms to our drug laws in this country. That's never, ever happened. Not once. It's always in court. We fight, we win. And we're going to continue to do that. And if they want to arrest us, we're just going to continue to show how unconstitutional their actions are and how, they have a political agenda, quite obviously, to get us. They don't like us because we're loud.
Can you give us an example? I know there's been other times in the past when Mark has actually successfully changed laws because he broke them
That's right.
when they were still illegal. So can you give us an example and maybe explain the story of how Mark has changed laws in the past by breaking the laws?
Well, we didn't invent this concept. This is called civil disobedience, and there's a long history of people using this to forward social movements and to get rid of unjust and draconian laws. There was segregation laws in the United States that wouldn't allow people of different color to get married. There were all these very, very cruel laws against people of color in the United States, and those people stood up against them, broke those laws, like Rosa Parks, and those laws eventually changed. It actually used to be illegal to be a homosexual, and look at what the original Trudeau did. He didn't say, "Oh, it's you guys should just wait around till we legalize bathhouses and homosexuality and all this stuff." No, laws change. We now have a Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms because of the original Trudeau, and that's because of that, we have it's like an American Constitution. There's rules in it that say you can't target people for their behavior and then allow other people to do the same behavior and profit from it in a huge way. And that's what Trudeau's government is trying to do right now. They're setting up a system where people are going to profit and others aren't. So yeah, Mark in the past, Mark isn't just a marijuana activist either. Mark has been fighting for libertarian causes for a long time. And this is a battle that he's been fighting on many fronts, including artwork, like music. Mark fought the laws that were banning the album, Two Live Crew's album, As Nasty As They Want to Be, which was actually banned in Canada. Mark didn't sell any other albums, but he brought that album here to sell specifically because it's against our right to free speech.
That's beautiful.
For the government to do that. And Mark actually fought the Sunday shopping laws. So it used to be that you couldn't go shopping in Canada on Sunday. It was illegal if you were a store owner to open your store on Sunday because of religious rules, right?
Wow.
Did anyone go shopping yesterday?
Wow.
But there's a lot of people going shopping now because Mark Emery opened his store every day on Sunday while police showed up and he got arrested a whole bunch of times, fought it in court, and these guys actually won. He helped to change that law.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, you can thank Mark for Sunday shopping, and you're going to be able to thank him for a free and open marijuana system that's fair and not shitty LP weed. That's coming soon because that's the next one we're going to win. So,
Which is the biggest problem. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the really, really big problem with the Health Canada thing is not the people doing it, is not the people making money off it, is not the fact that mail order, it's the fact that they don't offer the range of products that people need, and the products that they do offer are subpar.
or full of pesticides.
Well, that's exactly burning black, and they're bad products. So if you gave a proper, clean, pure product like good, real craft cannabis producers do, then the community would have a whole lot less problem with what they're doing. Right. But they don't because they produce shit, and you try to force us to buy shit, which they're doing deliberately.
Said that for this idea of economic freedom and actually making rules that are fair so that people can compete. Do you want a free market or do you want an oligopoly? Do you want a virtual monopoly of a small group of companies that won't allow anybody else to take part in this business? That doesn't make sense. That's not what we want. Imagine if, I was just going to say, give an example. Imagine if the government was putting a gun to everybody's heads and saying you have to buy Molson Canadian beer, and all the other craft beer producers are going to be put in prison, arrested. They're going to round them all up. They're going to raid the breweries in town and arrest everybody.
They're not allowed to be part
No,
of
you
their
have to buy it from Molson.
You're not allowed to walk into anywhere where your sold.
Well, that's what they want to do with cannabis.
And they want the LPs to grow shitty weed so that people don't buy it, so that, hey, we don't want people smoking weed. They deliberately made a system that's going to grow inferior products.
Well, and that was the conservatives. So this system is a holdover of Stephen Harper's crew. And if you ever noticed, when Stephen Harper was put through the court system, or his government was, they came back and said, this is unconstitutional related to marijuana. You have to make new regulations. Every single time that happened, Harper did the least he could possibly do. They would one example was, they said it was unconstitutional to just only allow one designated grower to grow in a place at a time. They said, oh, well, you can do two then. So they did the most minimal that they possibly can because they know that it has to go back to court, get fought again, come back, and then get re-judged upon if it's going to change. So these guys are the masters at dragging this out for as long as it possibly can, and that's what Stephen Harper did, and this shitty system is all part of that creation. This isn't like it was designed with this future in mind. So now Trudeau is just taking that and really basically trying to hand over a multi-billion-dollar market to some stock market companies, some really, really rich American corporations who have muscled their way in through the crack in the door that we opened up, the activists opened up, and now they want to close it behind them. Once they got through, they want to shut it on everybody else. And so that's why they're lobbying to have us arrested and paying millions of dollars to groups that go to the mayor of Toronto's office and say, shut us down. And, this all happened actually when Jody and other activists like Matt Barron went to the press conference. I was there. Craig was there, and we really debated publicly the chief of police of Toronto. The very next day is when they started this investigation into Jody. So this is absolutely boldly a political move. This is a political targeting, and it should be, and it is illegal for them to do that. So we just have to be able to prove it's true.
Here we've got some nails heated up for you guys to do dabs.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, Craig, you were there when we were at the police chief's office and giving him hell. That video, I want to post that again because it's such a masterful thing that Jody did, calling them out on their Project Claudia raids.
Which is basically this Thursday
Project
was
Gator.
Project Gator, Project Get Her. They're out to get Jody. They're trying to do it, and this is payback for Jody jacking Chief Wiggum's press conference.
Is that hot? Ready to go?
It's on CC's.
Carly, did these get heated up already?
Yep, they're ready to go. Fun. Smoking some rosin.
Oh, baby, that's nice.
Royal rosin. I really like this stuff. It's super tasty. Right?
They're also going to be coming out with some new stuff
So-
soon. So.
Wow, that's nice stuff. Uh-oh, there's the phone. But brutal what they did to Jody and Mark and Chris, Aaron, and Brittany, making them stay in jail for so long, strip searching. Jody and I got arrested not too long ago together in Montreal. They came and found us at our hotel room and arrested us. Well, no, we were arrested. We were fully arrested. But we didn't get taken to the police station. They detained us at our hotel room while we waited for a judge to come up.
I got detained here in Vancouver when that happened as well.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I got pulled over, locking up the store at like 1:30 a.m. They were behind my car. As soon as I got in and pulled out, they pulled me over.
Did they say anything about what happened in Toronto to you at that time?
They didn't, but they asked me why I was coming from the location. I said, well, I work there.
Yeah.
And then they said something about your hero Mark ain't up to any good kind of thing,
Oh, so they did say something about it.
But they were really polite though. They were really, really
He's
polite.
up to no good.
And it just, but I mean, like, really uneducated people say stuff like that too, though.
That's
until
very true.
when they come in at first, they have all these,
I'm sure
until
they heard it on the
explain to
radio.
them how things are actually going on.
Uneducated people also say cannabis is bad for you. But,
Of course.
Cops are going to back up their own posse. They're not going to be like, oh yeah. Some of them I think obviously feel the same way we do. A lot of them probably feel like we do, but they can't go out and say that, and they're going to try to back
They
up
were
their
very
homeboys.
polite. It was a very polite transaction.
I always try to inform police
it was
officers
odd.
about organizations like LEAF and, encourage them and let them know. Because I think that there is sort of a team mentality. So I think maybe it might help a little bit if they know that there's other people on their team that went, no, this isn't right. I'm going to say something about it.
Yeah. No, and Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, a good group of police officers who realize, because they've been fighting on the front lines of the drug war, that the destruction is caused by the police, not the drugs. The destruction is caused by the stigmas against these drugs. I mean, obviously, hard drugs can cause a lot of destruction in society. Hard drugs like alcohol, for instance. But we don't make that one illegal because we know that it causes more destruction when you try to make it illegal because everybody wants it
Well,
anyways.
the same thing goes. Who has died from cannabis?
Exactly.
Nobody. How many people have died from alcohol and cigarettes and all these other
Countless,
drugs?
endless.
Yeah, the numbers are in our favor on
Sugar.
all accounts.
Yeah. And that's how you know it's just ridiculous. There's no justifiable reason, but yet we're still here arguing for the same thing after all these years.
Some
That
people are
means
like,
it's
well,
political.
Our government takes a while to create policy. No, that's not it. Israel, it was on Craig's show when we were on there. He announced that Israel wanted to legalize, and they are working on creating the regulations, but it's decriminalized. It's done, and they're almost done the legalization
Right.
process. And we have a team of people who are supposed to be experts on legalizing cannabis, and it's been a year. We were supposed to see the proposal this spring. It's pretty much this spring, and we're still just being told, you're gonna have to wait until next spring. Same thing that we were told this time last year.
Oh, it could be
It's
2008 or 2018,
and
2019.
that's 2018 until we hear the proposed regulations. So that's guaranteed. If it's taken them 2 years to even propose them, how long do you think it's going to take to actually put them in place?
And the other thing is, even when they're put in place, there's going to be a lot of debate over it. It's not going to be the one we want. We're not going to get what we want right away. It's going to could take years and years and years to have a real legalization, because it's not real legalization unless decriminalization is part of it. Unless nobody goes to jail again, that's not legalization.
Well, who's the head of the task force? Bill Blair?
Right. A police officer.
Yeah. Ex-Toronto police chief, who's probably incarcerated more people for marijuana than anything else.
Yeah, really all you need to do is look to the leadership of that task force and the people in charge that Justin Trudeau put there. A police officer who did the G20 and was stomping on protesters' heads.
He was backing
literally
that.
the lawyer for the LPs, Anne McClellan.
Yeah.
She is the lawyer at a law firm. She's one of the head lawyers at this law firm that represents all the LPs. So it's obvious where they're going. And it's too bad, because we thought we were going to get a real form of legalization from Justin. But it turns out he just wants to profit from this and hand it all over. There's a great thing going around, a long post. It shows all the former Liberals or current Liberals supporters, people that were direct members of the party working right around Justin, like Chuck Rafisi, his chief financial officer, former police officers. All these guys are the owners of the companies that are LPs now. They're the investors and owners of what we call the LPs, and there's just tons of them. And they're all former Liberals and police officers.
What's fucked up is you sent me the list earlier, and I haven't had a chance to look at it, and I wanted to read it. But I'm going, and I'll scroll, and you guys can see how long it takes to scroll to get through this list of people and the descriptions of how they're related.
But even
So
just like your top
I can't even
one.
read it out because there's too many to
But
read.
just
out.
read-
It's endless.
Just read like even what was this one? Okay, hang on. This one, like.
Oh, yeah. So Mark Zekelin, CEO of Tweed, former senior advisor to former Ontario Finance Minister Dwight Duncan. What's this one here? Oh, geez. Norman Inkster, independent director at Metrum. And he's also the former head of the RCMP. So.
Oh, yeah.
It's
No.
just icky.
Lots of
even.
former
I
cops.
personally-
It's all the
is
people who have
thick.
been putting us under their thumb for all this time. Now they want to profit from it.
Well,
It's
I know
evil.
people personally, which I'm not going to name, obviously, but they are totally against cannabis, like everything, yet they put money in the stocks. And when I was
course.
told that, I was like, oh my God, I just want to punch with
Oh yeah, people have no souls. They're just so black inside. How can
Oh my
you how can
God.
you hurt other people for your own personal profits? It's wrong. And so these companies, these LPs are literally calling for Mark and Jody's arrest. They're lobbying for it. They've been paying for it.
Can you
These
explain
guys
what
are
you
paying
mean by,
money
what
to get them
they're
arrested.
It's really scary that the Liberals are enforcing that, because early on in the campaign, we were some of the biggest supporters of the Liberals, were we
It's
not?
true. We definitely
we had
helped
posters
Trudeau get
plastered all
elected.
over and stuff like that in support of that campaign.
Which I think, when you've got a politician who's running on a campaign about legalization, I think as cannabis activists, that was the right thing to do.
We were all over
but
that.
the wrong thing to do is to promise a country legalization and then just kind of let it.
The wrong thing to do is to arrest the two people who really helped gain momentum for your campaign early on. And that's what's
kidding.
frustrating to me.
It's extremely
Okay.
frustrating.
So Carly, you asked, how are the LPs lobbying to close down dispensaries? What does that mean? How are these companies responsible for this?
Explain the lobby.
Here's a Globe and Mail article I have on my screen right here. Medical pot growers lobby Ottawa to shut down pot dispensaries. Medical pot growers lobby Ottawa to shut down pot dispensaries in the Globe and Mail. And they point out that I'll read you some of this. The biggest growers of medical marijuana in Canada want to be the first in line when the market for recreational pot opens up, arguing that only they can guarantee a high-quality product that's securely distributed by mail. The owners of Canopy Growth Corp. And Tweed Marijuana, that's the big Tweed company, they want the federal government to shut down the pot dispensaries that are popping up around the country. Instead, they argue the strictly regulated and licensed firms in the marijuana field, medical field, should be the first ones allowed to provide marijuana to recreational users. Now people are phoning.
It tastes like shit.
I can't answer
It
you.
doesn't fucking smoke.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be giving these to people who need it
Well-
for medical reasons, and
In our craft in our cannabis culture dispensaries, they're recreational, and a large majority of our customers have their medical cards in their wallets, and they just choose to come to us because we're honest.
We have good weed.
We have really good cannabis.
And I always think about the like when I discovered what terpenes were, I was like, oh my God, it makes sense why I was always like, this weed smells like weed I like, and it makes me feel this way. Like, I really, really, really like dabs. People would be like, what kind of dabs do you want? I'm like, tasty dabs. Like, I don't know, I just want them to taste good. That's the kind of dabs I like. And when I found out what terpenes were, which is it's the same thing that gives fruit and vegetables its flavor and its scent. It's the same thing that gives cannabis its flavor and its scent. And it modulates the effect that the cannabinoids has. And when you're using cannabis, especially medicinally, it's extremely important to be able to learn about what terpene profiles work for you. If it's better to have, no terpenes and get your cannabis through something like distilled THC, and to figure out how they affect you, like lavender type terpenes can help you relax. It's similar to aromatherapy. So when they mass produce the cannabis the way they do at the licensed producers, and then they radiate it, it kills all the terpene profile. So there's no way that you can't pick up a bud and smell it. You can't, if you get a certain strain, go, well, I really like the way that one smelled. I'm going to look for something that has similar genes by looking for something that has a similar smell, a similar terpene profile. And I think that really limits people's options when it comes to exploring how cannabis can help them.
Honestly, do you want to smoke weed from somebody who's been growing for 3 years, or do you want to smoke weed from some dude who's been doing it for like 25 or 30?
Cares about it so much they were willing to get arrested to do it.
Literally has a lot of tips that can help out the scientists who are just getting on the wave now and trying to figure out how things are going.
Yeah.
So I mean, the ma and pa's out there should never be forgotten, and those who know what cannabis is good for should never be forgotten.
They're not going to share their clones with you if you cut them out of the market, guys.
Well put.
There's a little more I should share from this article. This article was written in January of 2016, so it's been out for a while. It says canopy growth has been working since December, so that would have been a year ago, plus, with lobbyists from Insight Canada to persuade the government to start the production of recreational marijuana along the same lines as medicinal marijuana. They propose that marijuana be sold to adults who are at least 19 years old, arguing that Canada Post, with its ability to check the age of clients, should be the first distributor. Over time, according to this proposal, the sale of recreational marijuana could be expanded to provincially regulated outlets that already sell alcohol. That's what they want.
Do they already know that Canada Post already distributes anything?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Just saying.
The proposal would limit production of legal marijuana to large facilities, leaving out small shops such as the ones in Colorado that sell their own products. So this is what they want. They're lobbying right now and paying millions of dollars to do this. All of these companies together are putting in, there's a group now called Cannabis Canada, and it's a big lobby group, and it's doing this kind of stuff. And almost all of these LPs are part of it. Not all of them, so I can't say that every single LP is bad or is calling for our arrest, but a lot of them, and I would say probably the majority, all the majors for sure, are calling for our arrest. And they want this system. They want to be in charge. They're protecting their shareholders. So they're literally at war with us, calling for our arrest. These guys are brutal. This is this is not human, this kind of activity. This is like the movie The Corporation, if you ever watch it, where corporations will do all these really bad things, let people die in car crashes that they know that the cars are faulty and stuff. And because they know it'll cost more money to do a recall than actually just fight it in court, and even if they lose. So, it's kind of like it's not something that anybody should be going. There's competition is cool, but this is beyond that kind of thing. And there's like a post that's going around that shows some of the people from Tweed, the investors who invest in the LPs, talking about the raids and stuff.
We should post.
They're always gleefully talking about us being arrested, saying Don Briere is next and all this kind of stuff. These guys
grow good fucking weed.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, they don't. They want.
If you guys want
they knew anything about weed,
competition, make your weed so much better than ours that we're not a threat to you.
No, their weed's so shitty that they have
Make
to
it so we
criminalize,
wanna
use the
smoke
police
it.
to criminalize the company.
You know how you get the black market to stay out of it? Yeah, make it so everybody can have it. There's not a black market for tomatoes or lettuce because you can go grow that if you want. Just you devalue the fuck out of it that way. Making it still a controlled commodity that's even more controlled, all that's going to do is make people want what they can't have instead. It's
Which
ridiculous.
is much better.
Which is much better.
Yeah.
See, we're giving
Truth.
you hints on it. Like, come on.
Just ask an expert,
We're willing to
right?
help you, and we've talked with them in person too. That's the frustrating part. So we're gonna try to call Ming in from a second. Gone to Babe from
I felt
Ottawa.
so bad for her. She was having a nice trip, and then boom, she
no.
goes back.
No kidding.
I know. I've had her on the show before. She helped me out when I was in Ottawa, and I did my show at Cannabis Emporium. And we didn't really announce the affiliation because we hadn't actually announced our Ottawa dispensary when we did that episode. But Ming's working for our Ottawa dispensary. She's awesome. She's a great activist. She's really involved in the community. So we're going to call her up in a bit. But before we do that, I just wanted to ask you quickly, what are you going to be doing? What's the next step for you?
Well, for cannabis culture, the next step is doing what we've always done, and we're going to press forward and continue to do it even stronger. Well, I mean, I don't know if we can do it even stronger. We've been doing it pretty strong lately, but we're going to continue to keep up that pace if we can. And it's really sad because we won't have the input of Jody, unfortunately. She's not allowed to advise us, not allowed to work with us or do anything like that. But we pledge to continue the mission forward and, rightfully restore her to her throne, the princess to her throne when she gets back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's business as usual for us. We're going to keep moving forward. Obviously, we're going to do things, and I think we weren't expecting this. We weren't expecting the government to actually really do this. Like, we actually thought we were all going to be able to move forward peacefully,
We
but
expected
they want to
maybe a
commit more
couple of
violence against us.
raids. Like, we expected that they would probably fuck with us a little bit.
The
but I don't think any of
It's
us
so
were expecting to
heavy-handed
come
and so
down.
unfair
Somebody-
compared to all the other
Somebody
conditions
look
that
it
other
up.
people got.
It's the what was it? The largest and most expensive cannabis raid in Canadian history.
Yeah. Well, look at the Georgia
When
Strait
there's
says.
also how many people just down the street over here?
Yeah.
Across the street.
Just,
Everywhere.
Yeah, across the street.
And in
even.
Well,
Toronto.
one thing I wanted to mention is that the public support here in Vancouver has been crazy.
Insane.
We have customers who don't even know if we're open in some spots because of the news from the raid, and they're still making sure they come in and talk to us. And then when they come in, they're hanging out and they're making sure that nothing bad's going on. We've gotten so many hugs in the last couple of days, and a bunch of our customers have left us their phone numbers and said, you know what, I've told my boss at work that if anything happens, I've got family who need help, and you just give us a call and we'll come down and protest for you guys.
Oh no, people.
And that's totally
Even
beautiful.
People from back home have messaged me.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. Every time they try to do this, they just make us more popular.
the love comes out.
Yeah.
Our customers become family every time this happens.
and they
Thanks for
show.
making us headline every major
They
news
make us
media
more famous
source in Canada.
and they're highlighting that they're bad. They're highlighting how stupid. They're saying we're going to legalize it, but now we're going to arrest these people. Like, it doesn't really make any sense to anyone.
And I've only been emotional with pride from all the hugs that we've been getting.
Makes money.
So I haven't been sad about all this. It's actually turning out to be quite good.
Well, it's
we're
really
gonna make it
sad,
good. We're
I
gonna
think,
make it good.
for all of our cannabis culture family who had to suffer through all this and have had
Of
basically
course.
their lives ripped away from them. And I just wanted to say lots of love to them.
Yeah,
And Mark
we
and
love
Jody
you
will
guys.
always be our leaders, and Chris and Aaron and Brittany.
course.
They'll always be our leaders, and nothing is going to stop that. So they can try and pry us away from each other, but it's not going to happen, and they're going to lose. So
Well, and Mark and Jody will turn king and queen.
yeah.
They're just going to empower them.
Oh no, it's going to be so much sweeter after we win
is.
all this, and
And that's what I meant about, I feel really confident. I feel really happy about all this.
Yeah.
It is sad and it is really ridiculous and crazy, but we feel confident because that's what we do.
well, because we're doing the right thing. So that makes a big difference. We are doing the right thing.
And the love and support's been crazy the last few days.
Yeah. No, it's great. And thank you out there to everybody who have been supporting us. It really does make a difference. And the emails and messages have been flooding in from all over the place. So, yeah, and I know it's crazy. People, the franchise requests are flooding in. That's the thing that's crazy is that people want to open stores. They want these cannabis culture stores everywhere across the country. What's that? Oh yeah, a lot of Pod TV viewers. Thanks to everybody
Thanks
out
for all
there.
the
We love
support.
Pod TV and
All
all
the
your
shares.
Thanks for
support.
watching too.
All right, so we're going to try to call Ming up really quickly and have her on for a little bit. Say hi, give us an update from Ottawa. Craig and Alyssa are going to work on that. We're going to work on more.
Getting high. Obviously.
Yeah. We got a really busy show today, J-Mac. Hi, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Oh, we got multiple doobies being passed around.
Okay.
So, how are you doing? How is everything in Ottawa? How have all of your employees been and felt during this whole process?
Of course, they were big stress, but before when we hired everybody, we told them, like, we kind of guided them, told them, we do have legal counsel. If anything happens, to just ask for counsel. So, they were pretty well prepared, and they were, nobody, obviously they were stressed out, but they were really happy because, not happy, but I mean, like, they weren't stressed out about getting arrested. They were just more motivated and more determined when they would get out to come back to work more than anything. So, especially for me, I was like across the world, and I didn't know what was happening, what to do, and I felt kind of helpless. But we have an amazing team in Ottawa, and like they literally like kicked ass.
That's
I'm very proud
awesome.
of them.
What was it like for because you guys have only been open for a couple weeks now. So what was it like for the couple weeks leading up to the raid?
The support has been very, we've had so many positive supports. We have, so many positive reviews. Everybody's extremely happy that we're open. We're busy, everybody's very happy that we've opened a cannabis culture in Ottawa. That's what they've been asking for, pretty much everywhere in Canada. We get people coming in on the daily, new clients, new patients, new faces, and getting to meet people, and they know they're thanking us for all the hard work that cannabis culture has been doing. So everybody in Ottawa is pretty stoked that we're there. Of course, there's a few people that aren't too happy, but the majority wins over this. So
there's a lot of support in the community then.
Yeah, of course, 100%. We've just had, it's really overwhelming. It's awesome to see just the positive energy we've been getting and just the flow coming into the store. And even the fact that I have a few employees that, they came back to work after being arrested and they have conditions and they don't care. They just want to do what they think is right. So
how many of your employees were arrested?
We had 5 of them arrested. We had Newcomb was one of them, part arrested as well. He's doing pretty good. We have a few other employees. Shout out to them for kicking ass and going back to work.
Now, do they have charges?
Yeah, they all have charges.
Whoa.
All of them have charges, but they have decided that they would rather be in the dispensary helping people than staying home and doing nothing and being, feeling helpless and not helping patients out to get their medicine.
Wow, so 5 more arrests. See, now I didn't realize that I was under the impression that all of the stores in Ontario that got raided, there were no actual charges associated with any of them.
No, 100%. 5 of them got arrested. They were released the same day with promises to appear. So that's pretty much it.
Oh my goodness. That's terrible.
Yeah,
send them our love and support.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, tell them.
Well, definitely. I know they're probably watching at work or they'll watch after, but I told them we were coming. I was going to go on the show and talk to everybody about Ottawa, and they were really happy and stoked about it.
Oh, we love you guys. I'm from Ottawa. Ottawa's my hometown for the people who are watching that don't know. So it just makes me ecstatic that there is a cannabis culture in Ottawa, and I'm so happy that it's got such a brave team that's willing to get right back into the trenches and is willing to put themselves on the line like that. It's so appreciated and so amazing.
I know, it warms the heart, doesn't it? Just coming from the hometown. I love it.
Awesome. So since you guys are open, before we bring on the next guest, we'll just, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have going on in Ottawa? Do you guys have any extracts available? What kind of strains do you guys have? Tell us a little bit about the dispensary in Ottawa.
Let's give it an expert update.
So we have, we're on Bank Street, so we're pretty much downtown. We're about a 15-minute walk from Parliament. 391 Bank Street, to anyone in Ottawa watching. Open from 10 to 10 every day. We have over 20 strains. Like right now, all I've been hearing about is like the pink kush that we have. Everybody's going crazy over that one. We have over like a crap ton of a lot of extracts. We have flowers and we got hash. We got pretty much everything. We're not selling edibles right now, so we're just sticking pretty much to the flowers and the extracts. And we're even selling paraphernalia. So we're selling bongs, papers, lighters, mugs, everything. So yeah, so we're just pretty much doing it, killing it out here, and everybody's pretty happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I just want to do one big shout out to my admin, Sean Mack. He's been holding down fort since I've been gone, and just really want to give him some good praise. He's been kicking ass and just doing it over here with everybody. And Newcomb too, you're doing a good job. Hopefully, we're gonna have more locations open up soon, and then we can get the ball rolling. We're not gonna stop. Can't stop us, and they won't stop us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll have to have you on again soon to give us another update.
It was nice to see you guys. Have a nice night.
Love you guys.
Toodles.
Thanks for all your bravery and hard work.
Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Thank you for everything, guys.
Awesome.
Love you big time. Wow, yeah, so
Wow.
Ottawa too, so 5 arrests. Good sweet lord. See, I don't even know the full scope of this. Do you know are there more of these? Are there more arrests at the other ones? I thought there was no more charges, Wayne said.
As far as I heard, there was no charges in Toronto.
Right.
I did hear about charges in Ottawa, and no charges in Vancouver.
Okay.
Charges in Hamilton.
Yeah, charges in in Brantford before that.
Yeah. The fight goes on.
But
yeah,
brave
Hamilton had charges
soldiers who
too.
are willing to get arrested, which I think most of our staff are pretty much willing to get arrested for this cause, which is really
Well,
awesome.
all of our staff are willing
Yeah.
to get arrested,
So,
actually, because
yeah, people who
they
are
won't work
watching-
here unless they are. So
People who are watching,
they
you
know.
wonder,
Every single staff person knows.
We're all
That's why we're here, actually.
very willing. Yeah, we're excited.
We're not here to get
have
arrested,
a
but we're here for the
platform
movement.
That where we can speak about something that we're so passionate about that we are willing to get arrested. Worst case scenario, if it happens.
You don't want to get arrested.
don't
Nobody
wanna get
wants to get
arrested. We don't
arrested.
wanna get arrested.
Please don't arrest
But
us.
if we have to show how stupid it is that people are getting arrested, so nobody else has.
Even our
then
new
we'll do it.
staff are all for the movement, and then we've even had some people asking if we're looking for new employees because they want to be part of the movement. And these
There's
are
lots of diehards out there.
Yeah,
On
police
the
officers,
raid,
if
on
you're
the raid
watching.
video, people were
Which I know they probably are actually. That's what's kind of interesting about it is that we can just about guarantee that they're actually watching right now. Like we've been told that they're following social media and everything. So we hope that you guys are getting an education. We really should have more like targeting towards all the police that watch the show and could make up half of the audience for all we know.
We should do a show on like the endocannabinoid system.
That's why our
and just,
numbers
like,
are so
all the
big
stuff.
lately.
Yeah.
Because
all
it's
police
entire
officers.
Toronto Police
Yeah.
Department's watching.
Yeah, they pay a lot of overtime to have all these cops
That's their
watching
homework.
us.
That's their homework. You guys go home and watch pot
They're sitting
TV.
down the street
You know,
while there's people
when we were
like,
in Montreal on the
overdosing, watching
Montreal undercover, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I said what I said. It's all good. Keep going.
You're awesome.
The Montreal police officers literally told us that they had been watching videos about us, watching Pod TV, researching us for days. They were like, "We haven't seen our kids in 3 days because of you guys."
Well,
Well, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Get a different job.
I was like, "That's
Maybe
a lot of
you
overtime."
should be going and busting real people for real fucking issues rather than
Like putting fentanyl into street drugs.
Yeah, there's
Why
like
don't you
people
go do that?
dying down the street.
174 deaths in
And
Vancouver.
and during the raid, we had a police officer who kept his hand on his gun, which he made a bit of a stink about.
yeah.
And then he tried justifying
Thugs.
it, you know.
These guys are thugs. I don't care. They can pretend.
We told them that we're
they're just
nonviolent
big
people, and
bullies
then
that are in suits that go through this training, however long it is. Like,
Sorry, how long does it take for somebody to become a lawyer?
how long?
And how long does it becomes? It's what is it like 7 years? And it takes on average like 2 years to become a cop. So how is it that somebody who's enforcing the law has to go to school for less time than somebody who's supposed to be arguing? Like how do these
on the front lines?
Yeah, exactly. It
No,
just
you
doesn't
think
make
that-
any
yeah.
sense. They're not.
I'm all for training cops
The system
better.
is completely fucked from top to bottom, and the cops knew it in Vancouver too. That's for sure. But really disappointing they would spend as many resources as they even did. Now they said they weren't cooperating with the Toronto Police Department. They weren't going to use any resources. However, there was like for something like trucks nearby, multiple cruisers, multiple officers, a big van.
They obviously use some resources.
So they use some resources. And when you have 174 deaths, record-breaking amount of deaths in Vancouver from fentanyl overdoses, that's insane. 1 week, 174 people dead in this city. And the worst part of that crisis is blocks away. So it's just...
I'm assuming there's a lot of pressure
disgusting.
coming from higher up because Bill Blair happened to be in town just a couple days before this raid happened. You know, it's funny because we had been watching the patterns. Bill Blair showed up at London in Brantford, and Brantford got raided. Or no, wait, he showed up in London, and London got raided. And he showed up somewhere else, and it got raided. And then he showed up here in Vancouver, and we're like, oh, is something going to happen? They're not going to raid in Vancouver. And then we got raided.
And he's the head of the legalization task force.
Yeah.
He comes to town and then everybody gets raided.
Chief of police
Yeah.
guy.
Prohibition task force.
Yeah, he is the Prohibition 2.0 task force. That's really what it is. It's not legalization. It's just...
Well, they're just trying to gain control again.
Yeah.
So we were gonna have the lovely Busy Izzy on for a bit, lighten the mood a little bit, bring on some positivity, because she is just a shining
make
ray of
room.
positivity. Look at that smile.
I will pass off the microphone. It was awesome to be back on Pod TV again after a little bit of a hiatus. I was like there was no radio contact, a little bit on the airplane and stuff. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. We were kind of worried about things, so it's good to be back home and everything's cool.
And we love you, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
And yeah, we're going to keep fighting no matter what. So we have this really well set up, and anything that happens to any of us individually, this place is going to keep going, and it will keep going and going and going and going and going. So you guys are going to have to waste a lot of resources. So if there's any public
And a lot of our money.
There's people listening that make these decisions, please just leave us alone. It'll be, you won't have to waste so much cash.
Yeah.
No, we don't hurt people. Yeah. We're peaceful activists. We're peaceful
J-Mac, you don't
people.
have
We
a
just want to provide a good example of the way it should be, and we're not hurting anyone. So legalize us. Legalize us.
There's already a market that exists. It already has regulations. We're self-regulated. We
not
take
in
care
on
of each
it.
other.
Yeah,
why they're having
you
an
need to
issue.
legalize us.
They can have a
Thank you,
part of it.
Jeremiah.
They just can't monopolize.
You are the man,
it.
brother.
They just can't kick us out. They're welcome to do whatever they want. They can continue to have the medical market if they want, but I think it should still be expanded so that better growers can be a part of it as well. Did you want to hop on? Say hello. It's okay. You can occupy the seat if you'd like. Hello, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh. Yes.
Yeah. Make it easier for them to hear you.
Probably. Okay, I'm gonna get out of my headphones.
It's good to see you.
You too, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry again, not talking in the microphone. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
Let me get the chin. All right, there we go.
There we go.
We're back.
All right.
All
How are you
smiles.
doing today?
I'm good. I'm really good.
That's awesome.
Really good day. A little cloudy and gross outside, but
Yeah,
it's better than snow.
Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a Monday, and Mondays just got a little bit more exciting.
They did. We're starting a sort of like Maple Leaf meetup, sort of Monday Maple Leaf meetups. Tonight, this weekend, or sorry, this Monday, it's going to be at Davie, at the Davie location. It's going to probably venture around to different locations. We might stop here some weeks. But it's just going to be a gathering of people. We know Mondays are hectic, especially after a weekend. Everyone's very, very tired on a Monday, and there's nothing better than getting together with a good group of friends and trying out some sweet meds. So we've brought down some sample products, some new flavors that you might not have tried before. And it's a great spot for anyone that wants to try Maple Leaf that hasn't been able to maybe like understand the cost at the dispensaries and stuff. Come try our products, test it out. Come ask any questions. I will do my best to answer them. I'm not one of the vein extractors, so I can't.
So the first one's at Davie?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
1674 Davie Street.
that's the one.
That'll be tonight.
That's the one.
There may be some live streaming of it tonight. Possibly.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I'll be there as well. So come dab with us. Come smoke with us.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Davie's a blast.
Yeah,
So.
it's a sweet little lounge. I like it. As much as I love this place and the two stories and stuff, it's kind of nice. They've got two different vibes, two different sides of Vancouver.
For
the
sure.
Davie's gotten more beachy.
They're both part of the circuit.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You loop around.
Yeah.
You stop at both regularly.
Like we're here right now.
Yeah. A lot more history in
My
this
version
building.
of a pub.
So you mentioned, if people are curious about the quality and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about what sets aside maple leaf extracts?
Well, we try to do everything as, craft as possible. We like really good weed. We like really good shatter. We like heavy hitters. We love full flavor profiles. We like clean meds. Nothing treated with pesticides. Nothing, treated with radiation or anything silly like that. We love working with great companies like Temple Calyx. We actually do run a lot of their flowers. It's just a really nice, like, high quality craft shatter.
I've sold hundreds of grams of your brand of shatter in our dispensary, of course, and nothing but great customer reviews.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very profound terpene profiles on their products.
That's the one thing that does set us apart. Is we do just full nug runs, so there's no trim, no sugar leaf, no anything like that. The same buds that you see for sale for $10 to $12 to $14 a gram, that's what we're running. So that does kind of, come across in the price, unfortunately, but if we had the availability to have gardens growing for us at the level that we like it, we'd do it. And it's, in the game plan eventually, but you got to start small and got to start somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, yeah, of course. And it's really difficult. A lot of the time people are like, why are your prices so much higher than a street dealer? It's like, well, we put in a little bit more effort than the average street dealer does. And the whole reason why the average, why growers have to charge as much as they do and extractors have to charge as much as they do is because
it's a craft
huge
market.
Risks involved, when all those people who are like, why are you guys charging that much for weed? Well, we base it on the growers' prices, and as you guys can all see, we have some cost every once in a while that aren't so.
And there's always cost to running any sort of business.
Yeah.
We've got supplies, we've got employees, we've got rent, we've got all sorts of things that we need.
Well, there's the craft beer industry that's very big in Canada as well. And people pay. I pay more, but if I
100%.
do drink beer, which I don't really ever, it's going to be craft beer because I don't like the cheap stuff.
I only drink that.
100%.
Yeah, right. So the craft beer, and that's what's going on here. Is you're going to have all of your standard run of the mill stuff, and then there's going to be your craft extracts from your proprietors, and that's these guys, to be honest.
Do you have some you could maybe show off on camera?
Of course.
Yeah, some of their
slabs are always so pretty.
some of their extracts look like sugar. Like you look at them and it's just so beautiful,
Oh, and I also, something fun I saw on your Instagram that I just remembered was I saw that you guys were starting to do isolates.
Yes, we are.
That is very cool. No, you're grabbing your slab out, of course, take your time. So for the people who don't know, their extract companies are learning how to isolate cannabinoids like THC and CBD. CBD is the big one we're seeing, and it comes in almost powder crystal form, and you can add it to your dabs is a great way to do it. You can dab it by itself, and it's really awesome way to activate your cannabinoid system. Ooh, pretty slab.
So here we got some OG Rex. So it's just an OG cross train wreck. Grown unbelievably beautiful. It's like some of the greasiest bud I've ever dealt with
like
in my life.
Candy.
Literally.
Candy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was saying, but that it looks like sugar. Like it looks like something you'd buy in a candy store. It's so
right, or
beautiful.
like a fruit roll up or something.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That is beautiful.
So feel free to take a dab.
Oh, thank you.
Dive on in there, ladies.
So can you tell us a little bit about your isolate?
Yeah, it's a I don't know too much about the background of where I just see it when it's in packaged and pretty and stuff like that. But no smell, really, no taste. It's quite similar to a THC distillate. There is also like the THC isolate as well, which is the very crystalline form. No THC in it whatsoever. It's non-GMO.
It's all CBD?
All CBD,
yeah, so
100% CBD.
That's usually predominantly hemp-based, isn't it?
Yes, it is a hemp-based one.
Yeah, which is a good thing because that's where CBD usually comes from. It's
definitely, and we get ours certified and everything like that, so we get a certificate. There is some not so great CBD circulating. I know a lot in the States actually is circulating where it's used in some sort of process for manufacturing in the East, and then they realize, so we can then filter out all the CBD and then sell it to you guys. So it's had all this stuff ran through it, and it you don't want chemicals passing through your CBD. You want it grown to be extracted, and that's it. It has one purpose. It gets grown for CBD extraction, gets extracted, and it's not used for making 10 different things. And then just some plastics and stuff. They use hemp for a lot of stuff. I personally don't know enough about it, but
Well, yeah, CBD predominantly comes from hemp. So
It's the easiest way to extract, the most cost effective, because if you're going after
there may be hemp genetics in some of them CBD strains. You never know.
Oh, definitely.
You never know.
Yeah, there might be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. So can you tell us some more about the event? Like what's kind of one of the goals of putting this Monday jam session together with
Just to
everyone?
really get everybody together. I know my schedule and anybody on the Maple Leaf team schedule is ridiculously busy, and we always like to get together and, sit with like-minded people and talk and just relax after a really long day. This week's kind of like ladies dominated, which I kind of planned. I almost got given a little bit of crap for that, but I was like, girls need a place to be able to feel welcome and, just sesh, because it's quite intimidating to roll up to a sesh when there's like 17 dudes and you're like, yeah, like you're
and then a lot of the time they're like really, really intense growers and stuff like that, and they're talking really. The way guys get really into cars. I'm not trying to stereotype here.
No, but
I don't know a lot about
absolutely.
cars, but they get really into the language of it, and you're just like.
Yeah, they're right up on the
The
mechanized
same way
world. A
guys
lot of these
feel when girls
guys.
talk about makeup.
Exactly, and then
Yeah, exactly. That kind of look.
it's quite intimidating, and like
Can
even for me, I apparently tend to intimidate quite a few people, and I still get intimidated by those sorts of situations. I would probably walk to the other side of the lounge and be like, just gonna smoke here.
The first time I met you, you like skipped over and then like did a lunge step and like extended your arm forward with a bag full of candy, and I'm like, who is this magical candy creature that just entered my life? I don't want her to go
exactly
anywhere.
like me. I
That's
do such
beautiful.
weird like lunges and it's kind of weird. Why do you guys hang out with me?
You're awesome. Yeah.
I think you're like, if you're intimidating in any way, you're like intimidatingly positive. That it's just like, shit, I want to be more.
Look at this. Like, look how much I'm shaking right now.
Oh, you're great on camera. We love you.
You're awesome.
Oh, who are you wearing today?
Your
I
smile's contagious. It is.
I'm just gonna sit here and smoke my joint, all embarrassed and shit.
You're awesome.
I see you wearing a shiny pendant. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see that well. But why don't you show us who you're wearing today?
Oh, that's so pretty. I like that. It's a Dan pendant.
Oh man, that's gorgeous.
Sandblasted flower life on the back there. It is Lucy, and then the center in there behind the steel wool. Sorry, I'm not talking to the microphone at all. Is Illuminati. I'm sorry.
Dude, do you want to say that all
Lucy
again?
Illuminati. It's from Dan P. Glass. Check him out on Instagram. There's a sandblasted flower life on the back. There's a nice big opal down there. It's my little everyday flashy piece. I've got a much bigger one, but that's like amulet. That's huge to wear.
It's like, hey, look at me, I have a pendant.
Mine's
Yours is really, I love how it matches the rig.
Thank you.
It's funny because I have the Rob Biglin that Celeste is wearing. I've got a rig and two pendants that match it. So it's the whole the pendant and the matching rig thing is awesome.
Okay, wait.
Tradesies.
That's not quite as much as I meant.
Why not? Just do it all.
Well,
you don't have to, but.
Globs.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, well, it was my first custom piece, and I didn't have a pendant at that time, and I was like, well, if I'm going to get my first custom rig, it should probably have a matching
Definitely,
pendant.
for sure.
Support your local artists. Awesome. Okay, well, I think that was about it. Oh, can you tell us where you can find first Maple Leaf Extracts and then yourself on social media?
Well, you can definitely find Maple Leaf Extractions at any of the CC locations. I'm not sure if we're still stocked in the BD. We haven't been there in a bit, but definitely Davy. Davy stocks up all the time. They've always got our distillate, always got our shatter. You can find a couple places online, but best bet is probably CC Davy. In Vancouver, I'm not too sure online in the rest of Canada.
1674 Davy Street.
There you go. I don't know the address. I'm sorry. And then me, I'm just busy Izzy. I pretty much only have an Instagram, BIZZE, IZZE, if you feel like following it.
Yeah.
There's
You
no
should.
third eye. There's only one or two. Sorry, there's only two eyes. Everyone always adds an extra eye in there.
When you were talking about eyes, I thought you meant like your eye.
Like you're totally woke and
But
enlightened.
there totally is a third
Yeah,
eye.
totally woke.
Do more dabs.
Is yours not open yet?
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
that's me. I'm just
Wearing a Temple of Calyx shirt talking about the third eye.
right. Exactly.
Totally
I would be
possible.
Oh,
proud.
I would be
Totally
proud.
I hope you're having fun in Spain now.
Yeah, and he's down at Cannabis that he was able to go at, and unlike some people who unfortunately had to come home, but that's okay. Thank
He's
you
holding
so
it down
much
there
for
for us.
coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Gladly, anytime, and I will see you later at
Absolutely.
it's MLE Mondays.
Yeah. We'll go
Maple
with that.
Leaf Mondays. MLE.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
All right, and maybe we'll bring you guys some footage of that. We'll see.
And that's tonight at our Davie location.
Yes, it is. So shortly after this, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so we also have Neil Magnuson in the house, who we're going to bring on. We brought him on recently to Pod TV to discuss how he was helping us with our protesting. He also is going to talk about his current court case, because we've been giving you guys updates about that on Pod TV, and it's been a little while, so we're going to fill you in right after I do this. Damn.
Hello, Neil. Good to have you, brother.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Very good to see you, brother.
Good to be here under, not such great circumstances. Eh? Still criminally misusing our public funds and violating our rights and stepping outside the boundaries of what public servants are supposed to do. I think all the public servants involved, from the Prime Minister down to the cops, should be very, very ashamed of themselves. They really need to think about what they're doing. There's no public safety issue going on here. There's a protection of corporate agenda going on here, and that's very criminal for public servants to be involved in that.
I also just wanted to say that you did a very good job on the front lines of the protest. Neil Magnuson here is always on the front lines of our protests. He's one of our main advocates here in the city. And when the raid was going on, we were all on the front lines. He did a good job gaining lots of attention out there on the street. He's awesome.
Practice.
Yeah, lots of practice. Very good.
It's been a while here. I mean, like you say, I've been at the forefront of a lot of different protests.
Yeah.
But for me, it was very reminiscent of what happened back when they were trying to arrest Greg Williams out of here, when they arrested Greg and Michelle and Mark with respect to selling seeds. And we did a very similar kind of protest there. They had vans in the back that day as well, and we sat down and smoked weed in front of them here. And then we moved across the street, and for 2 solid days had rallies at Victory Square. And we might consider doing something like that again as well. We've got a lot of things to think about right now. I want to say that it is the responsibility of good people to break bad laws. And that's been going on for a long time. To just go along and obey bad laws, it makes you complicit in them. Laws are not made by a God who's all-knowing and all perfect. Laws are made by men who are almost always influenced by some private interests that want to use those laws to their advantage against.
And it's easy to be an outlaw with the laws that are made, to be honest.
It's true. It's righteous to be an outlaw with the laws that are made. It's very unfortunate. Our forefathers have gone to war to fight for what they believed was freedom, and yet we're just still free to obey. And the laws that we're supposed to obey harm people in such serious ways, harm our planet. The denying of cannabis to Canadian citizens for all that it can be used for their clothing, to their fuel, to their food, to their medicine, to their spiritual conduit, to all of these things plus more, is a huge crime against our society. So they are the ones who need to be arrested. Arresting freedom fighters, spending millions of dollars to put Mark and Jody and our other great soldiers in, and I hate to say soldiers, but they've made it a war. We didn't ask for no war, but that's what we got going on here. But to put them in cages and to spend all of the Canadian taxpayer dollars on that's outrageous, and that word doesn't begin to describe it. Taxpayers don't put their tax money in to have this happen. Nobody in Canada wants the cops to be doing what they're doing, or the Prime Minister to be doing what he's doing with respect to cannabis.
It's totally unjust in how we supported the Liberals with their legalization promises as well. Because we held them a lot of the way early on in the campaign.
Well, I remember our 420 rally with Justin Trudeau, huge up in behind there.
It's so sad that it's turned out
I believed him,
He made a lot of promises that he hasn't. I mean, in terms of the environment, First Nations rights, I'm sure Celeste would be able to
that was a big boo-boo on the First Nations thing that he did.
Electoral reform.
If you have time, go watch the documentary Cut Off on Vice with Sarah Fox and Justin Trudeau. You can even see when she's interviewing him, his facial expressions, like he doesn't even know what to say to her. It's like you've wronged them all. So.
Well, and he should probably have the tattoo of the Haida tattoo on his shoulder should probably be laser removed, because the artist who originally designed that was very, very proud to have that on his arm, and then after he has done what he's done, they don't really want him to have that on his arm anymore.
Can you just really, we're going to get back to everything, but just while we're on this topic, can you elaborate on what you mean by done what he's done?
Just done what he's done to all of us. When along the campaign trail, the big promise was to help out natives along their fight, and then to help out the cannabis people along their fight, and he just hasn't held up on so many different things. I mean, we could sit here and list all the different things that he's done, or hasn't done, but to be honest, like sure we are fighting for our rights, but to be honest, what I mentioned earlier with the we're talking about discovering the native grave, the ancient archaeological grave, and then it was highly regarded until they found out it was native. I mean, like these natives, they just don't have the same rights that we do, to be honest.
They don't, and they were the first peoples. That's why we call them the first peoples. And even this lady, Lynn, whoever she is, who said, why isn't anybody seeing the good in residential schools? Yeah, I have a lot to say to you, woman, and you yourself should probably go through residential schools.
And I'll, just one little thing is people always think, if you're arrowheads and where the natives were, if you go by the native bands, that must be where the arrowheads are. That's not always true. Where the arrowheads are is under all the major settlements, under all the cities and stuff like that, because where all the natives actually were, all their prideful areas that they use the resources from.
All the roads,
the
were trails,
site of Vancouver, the site of Toronto, those were all native villages.
Mm-hmm.
And they were taken from those spots and then relocated to their current bands. So sure, there might be ancient archaeological artifacts in those bands, but chances are we are on top of their establishments. So and then when a person discovers a native grave in a park that's washing out of the high tide or something like that, they call the RCMP. The RCMP's, oh my God, let's do a report, and they find out it's native, and they go, oh no, we'll email the band. So Justin Trudeau honestly shouldn't have lied to those people. He should have held up to some promises to them, because we are fighting for our rights, but those guys honestly have slightly less rights than us. I feel that way, and that's where they're fighting major oppression, and they have been. And complete cultural genocide was what was going on when the European settlement came through.
But even now, there's still native communities that don't even have clean water.
Yeah. I've got a bit of native in me, but I'm predominantly European. So I advocate for natives, and I believe that natives should. We need. I don't know. To be honest, Justin Trudeau should just get that Haida tattoo, laser removed off his arm, because the artist just is totally, disrespected, and he doesn't feel so proud anymore.
Celeste, maybe this is a question that you could help us out with. Can you give us an example, kind of similar to what we're doing here in the cannabis movement, where First Nations people have used civil disobedience against laws that are unjust?
I don't even know where to start with that. What would you say, Bryson?
What was the question again? Sorry, I was.
What's an example, if you can think of one, where First Nations peoples have used civil disobedience against unjust laws, kind of like we're doing here in the cannabis industry?
Well, for instance, a lot of people don't.
The Dakota Access Pipeline.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to bring up. There's been multiple protests down here. And they don't communicate with Native communities on things that they're doing. That's their land.
Celeste is not only a Native a cannabis activist. She's a human rights activist, and she shows up at a lot of these Aboriginal protests with her mom, Kathy, of course. Love her to death. And Celeste is always at these things. So when the Dakota Access Pipeline was going on, she was at the big protest marching through Vancouver, gaining momentum for that. So when we gain some momentum against Kinder Morgan here and all that kind of stuff that's going to be going on, Celeste will always be involved, and
I have a pin on my backpack over there that says no pipelines and no tankers. And I walk around with that all the time. And even people ask me, they're like, why are you, like you're riding this bus, or like, you know people that drive. And it's like, yeah, but at the same time, times are changing. Like there's other resources, there's other ways. Exactly. There's ways.
I'd just like
putting
to
money into pipelines. There's ways of
reiterate that my interest in Native history and my respect for Native history has come from Celeste's mom. When I was in grade 2, she came into my life as a First Nations teacher, and I picked her brain for years. So
using fossil fuels in vehicles is completely archaic and unnecessary, and that supports these pipelines, and they should be switching all vehicles into other forms of clean energy like solar and friction, and there's other ways to do it, electric as well. So,
isn't the pipeline going to come across British Columbia or something like that? And it's
there are pipelines already, lots of them,
and it's lining the pockets of the people
the
in the east.
one up north, I believe,
Not
got
us.
rejected. The one up north.
We can't just pollute our coasts and line.
They're already killing so many whales with these big ships and tankers going up and down our coast. It's horrible. They want to increase the tanker load and kill more fish and more whales.
The orca population of the southern BC coast is like just over 60 or something like that.
I saw something interesting today. I saw somebody put out this video about this like sponge thing these scientists have been developing, and it absorbed all this oil. But then a little while later, I saw somebody shared, it looked almost like a homemade. It was not done in this like crazy lab setting. It was like done, somebody recorded on an iPhone video. It was way lower budget, and it looked like compressed hemp, and it was in this little brick, and they like lowered it into this water that had dyed oil in it, and it in time soaked up all the oil. So you can not only use that to clean up the oceans, you could also switch to hemp fuel and stop damaging them. And it's just like so obvious. But even so obvious.
Down to like even plastic, like things can be made from hemp
plastic,
and
fungus can save the world. It can't save I don't know, maybe it can save the oceans, but
yes,
in parts of the earth where there's lots of toxic waste and oil that's deposited into the ground, mycologists have been able to inoculate the soil with the mycelium of different mushroom species. Then these mushrooms pop up in the form of mushrooms, and as they do that, they suck up all of the contaminants out of the soil and pull it into the mushroom. And then through the course of nature, you actually clean the soil just by inoculating the soil with mycelium of mushrooms. So mushrooms can
hopefully that one's allowed. I mean, cannabis, by withholding cannabis, there's other examples of where we could have saved our environment in so many ways, and using hemp fuel, as you said.
And if anybody's interested in checking that out, check out Paul Stamets. I think his thing was mycelium running. He's a professional mycologist talking about cleaning the soil with mushrooms and all that.
Nice.
Awesome.
I know, when Jack Herer wrote The Emperor Wears No Clothes, the emperor truly was naked, and that's what that book did illustrate, is just how ridiculous and obvious, like you're saying, it's so clear and so obvious. Why aren't they doing this? And the reason is because it's industry, it's money, it's monopolizing people's consumption and production of things. And if the emperor was naked when Jack wrote his book, I'll tell you, he's prone and spreading his cheeks now.
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit. It is just so obviously, glaringly wrong that they're doing what they're doing with cannabis, even to try and regulate it the way they are. If they were true public servants and they had the public's interest in mind and were not being affected by these corporate monopolists, they'd be jumping up on the rooftops and announcing how wonderful this plant is that we've found, and everybody can grow it, and oh my God, and we can use it for all of these things, and it's going to save us so much money and so many lives. And yet instead of that, they're still hanging on to every shred of reefer madness that they can to try to justify prohibiting it and controlling it so that they can make all the money off of it still.
So
it's so criminal.
A great example of
Neil's
how
full of truth.
It's true. Neil is a very smart man. An example of how they're continuing to waste resources by arresting people and putting them through court cases when they're related to a substance that is about to be legalized. That's a harmless substance.
Segue.
Hey.
That's what I'm here for, actually.
Toss it over to Neil.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, because
explain a little bit about his court case.
Well, there's this present day huge wasting of resources and oppression of our people, but 2 years ago in 2015 at the Cannabis Day rally, there was another example of a huge wasting of our tax dollars and police resources and oppression of our community. And for those who don't know, I mean, you can find it all over YouTube, Cannabis Day 2015, police arrest peaceful demonstrators. You know, we'd been going there for over 20 years to the art gallery doing the same thing. Me personally, for 13 years going there doing the same thing, protesting these bad laws in ways that hopefully are provocative and make a change. Like I said, it's the responsibility of good people to break bad laws in peaceful, nonviolent ways to make the point. And we had been doing that with full cooperation of the city and Vancouver Police Department for all those years. I've been involved for almost 20 years at the Cannabis Day rally at the art gallery, and never did we have any interference from our public servants, nothing. And then what happened there on 2015 was the complete opposite. They had tried to stop us from having it. They admitted, City Hall, that, yeah, okay, so thousands of people are going to show up there, we know that, and yeah, I guess you can't use the north side because we're going to have that under construction, but we'll let you use the south side, but you can't sell booths. And so that's where we were that morning, where we showed up there, and there were all the police en masse in groups all over the place, making sure that nobody pulled over and dropped anything off, and that no booths were set up. And that was going on all morning as more and more people arrived and more booths arrived, but it couldn't get set up. We got a booth set up, and I was the spearhead of that along with Jeremiah when we went down and challenged the Vancouver Police and the Vancouver Engineering Department on them trying to force the booth to be taken down that had just gone up. And I explained to them that, you know, I'm an officer of a federal political party in Canada. That was an election year, and even without that, we're protected under the Elections Act, and we're allowed to set up and campaign wherever we like, and that's what we were doing there that day. And so they huddled up and talked about it, and because we are covered under the Elections Act, they walked away, and the rest of the tents and booths started to go up. It wasn't too long after that that I approached the senior VPD, and I explained to him that, you know, he was really causing a lot of stress by the amount of police officers that were there. There was a lot of anxiety amongst the people there, and the police were looking very intimidating. So that we were going to continue our protest, and that and part of that protest was going to be the selling of cannabis and the giving away of cannabis. And he said he understood that, and he was going to be reasonable about that. And I thanked him for that, and and told him, you know, have a lot of your people go away, please, and we'll have a decent, peaceful day here like we always do. And so instead of that, it wasn't long after that they brought in a line of 15 VPD officers marching in fast right at me, tackled me, tried to extract me from other people that were trying to keep me from being extracted from there, because that was our one power that we thought we had against this oppressive government that we faced, is called hug power, where if people will hug the person trying to be arrested, and then other people will yell at the police about how there's no victim, there's nobody being harmed, and if other people videotape that, then we felt that would protect us. But in this case, they had obviously trained for it for that day. They came in and tackled me and tried to extract me in a very brutal, violent fashion. They brought in another 15 officers right away that surrounded that first scrum with their backs to it, and pepper spraying people, and it was just a horrible, horrible scene. I still, to this day, can't believe it happened, especially the way that it did. You would think that they were trying to arrest a heinous criminal that had murdered children.
Yeah, like that didn't happen when the riot happened after the Canucks game and everyone's drunk and all over the streets.
Well, yeah, that's kind of it, because, you know, when you watch the videos, you can see that what they did, their actions were close to inciting a riot. And the only reason there wasn't a riot is because we're very peaceful people, and we use a substance that calms us and doesn't allow us to
And we're
act
non-violent.
So,
We're non-violent.
yeah, in the spirit of cannabis, we're
Well, I
non-violent.
mean, if I get violent, that's because I'm pissed off. That's because I've been pushed to that point.
Well, I think we can defend ourselves, and I think, you know, and I think that's all good. But You know, we were very disciplined, or the people there. I mean, I was certainly not able to take part much in what happened other than being in the center of a dog pile and then thrown in the back of a paddy wagon. But in reviewing the videos, it was a beautiful thing to see the hundreds and hundreds of cannabis people that were there and how disciplined they were, even though obviously so passionate and angry about what had happened, and how ashamed the VPD were as they walked away with their heads down and their tails between their legs and being yelled at that they're not heroes and that's not what we pay them for. You know, it's a horrible day. I'm very emotional about it. I can't believe we're going to court. And so here we are now. It's almost 2 years later. I had about a dozen appearances before judges, before a lawyer demanded that he represent me pro bono because he was very interested in this particular case. Rob Laurie's just an awesome lawyer, human being that is going to help out with this. And so we're going to court. It looks like it's trial. It's coming up a week from today. We'll be at the Main Street Courthouse at Hastings in Maine there, or Cordoba in Maine. And I can't believe they're going to go ahead with it. I suspect they're going to adjourn it before it gets going so that they can put it past the July 1st date, so that then it's been 2 years since that event happened, and there may be a stipulation that I'm not able to bring civil suits against those officers and the police chief and the city of Vancouver for what they did after a 2-year period. So I'm hoping that's not what they're doing, or that that's not going to be the case, because I'm very anxious to get these court proceedings behind us so that I can go forward and sue them for what they did and bring that to the public's attention. We should not just allow our public servants to abuse their power in the way that happened there that day and then just let it go. It really needs to be addressed. There needs to be some sort of remedy and some sort of punishment for what happened there. That was just wrong. I was no threat to anybody.
That's, you know, you're on the front lines, but that's a little aggressive. You know?
Yeah.
Never expected that, you know?
It's so aggressive.
I spend all of those rallies seeking out the police that are sent there, having conversations with them until they don't want to talk to me anymore.
Yeah, I'm so
and I
sorry
try to talk to all of them all the time. They all know me at those rallies, except for this rally, because none of the regular crew of VPD that works those rallies was there that day. It was a whole different crew with a whole different attitude. And still I spent that morning trying to talk to them. And yet... Oh,
yeah,
always,
they were carrying cameras around. It was my first
They could have just come, sorry, Carly, but they could have just come to me and said, Mr. Magnuson, we're going to place you under arrest and we're going to charge you and, you know, come with us. And, you know, that would have been that for that, you know?
But yeah, they had to scare you.
Oh, man.
You know?
Yeah, well, we had all been taught hug power, too. That's something that we're all prepped with when we're volunteering for the events. So we kind of knew, we kind of felt what was going on, and then we kind of noticed that they were kind of targeting Neil and kind of leaning towards Neil. And
not taking their eyes off me.
Yeah, and then we saw a few officers
We're really
start
proud
walking
to
up,
have you.
and we all just jumped. There was a few of us, and I tried to grab Neil's legs as hard as I could, and they ended up doing everything they could to get me out before they closed the circle off, because they didn't want to, like, have it look bad. Now they got to go, oh, we arrested 3 males on Cannabis Day, as opposed to...
Yeah, based on your activity there, you certainly should have been arrested with those others.
They had me in the paddy wagon. They tossed me out and put a male in that's the same age as me that was doing the exact same thing.
Not that I believe you deserve to be arrested in that case.
No, I don't think that anybody
I think that when public servants are out of control, it's up to the citizens to take it upon themselves to try to remedy that in as nonviolent a way as possible, and that's what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that I don't think you should have been arrested, just based on the others that were arrested and originally charged with obstruction of justice. You were maybe at the head of that group, you know, or right up there anyway. And thank you so much. I love you. You know, we all love all of you that
we love you,
are willing to do that, you know.
We couldn't possibly have a better person on the front
I want to
lines
say that all those other charges of obstruction have been dropped.
Yeah.
That those people all have their charges dropped, as they should. And I think that should also speak to the charge against me.
Yeah.
That if they weren't obstructing justice, that means there was no justice going on to obstruct, and they should not continue with this wasting of tax dollars through the court system.
It's true. I feel like, this is Alyssa, by the way. I feel like they were prepared for our hug power, because there's a slew of people that we had never seen before. They all immediately went into like riot formation and got their pepper spray out to keep us all at bay. So there's like at least 10 to 15 people pepper sprayed, and everyone else is tending to their eyeballs with water that they could seek out from around the area, you know, and it was fucked. It was just fucked.
The whole thing is fucked, you know.
Wow.
That's what we're trying to do here. Eh? We're trying to unfuck things.
That's part of the reason why we were not very, we didn't go very easy on the VPD that we're rating us down here at 307.
Nor should we.
There's certain members of the community that just don't like the Vancouver Police Department because of that. Sorry guys, if you're watching, which you might be, but when you boot stomp people and when you unnecessarily drag people to jail and when you rip apart our home, then, you know, it's just going to leave us with a bad taste in our mouths.
No, you've hit on a really good point, Carly. These policies, when they're enforced, put those enforcers at risk. They undermine the entire confidence of the public. They cause people to hate them for... We would love the police if they were all just protecting innocent people from bullies. That'd be awesome. But because they're protecting corporations and enforcing laws in ways that harm people, we don't like them. We don't trust them. And their lives become at risk because of that. All these things were found by the Canadian Senate in 2002. All of it. The Canadian Senate found that the attempt to prohibit cannabis was jeopardizing and harming our communities far more than the abuse of the substance ever could, and whatever the abuse of cannabis is. But it's not something that's resulting in anybody going to hospital. Nothing. There's no poster child for I was harmed by cannabis.
Lazy. If you just,
you know,
if
you can use too much of anything, but it ain't going to kill you no matter how hard you try. And
You're gonna fall asleep.
That's it.
yeah, you know. So
just smoke sativas. Figure it out. You'll be good.
Some
Get
people
the right
in-
strain.
Some anxiety, but you know, you'll
Find the right
house fires,
balance. Find the right balance.
some people die from smoke asphyxiation in house fires or smoke exposure. I mean, how much cannabis would you have to burn in one place in order to die from smoke exposure?
1,500 pounds in 10 minutes.
There you go.
That's the LD50
There-
rating.
there
and
you go.
everything, and it has to be like closed in, like no air,
like hot bots, like towels under the door.
It's a ludicrous number. It's like nothing else on the planet. Everything has an LD50 rating, a lethal dose 50%, you know, of whatever substance you could ingest, everything in your home, grocery store. But because we have cannabinoid receptors, because our bodies mimic those same cannabinoids with the essential fatty acids turned into those compounds that help with our with our endocannabinoid system in dealing with everything that happens that's wrong, because that's what the endocannabinoid system does. It's the regulator of all of the other systems in the human body. Its task is to maintain homeostasis when things are out of balance and out of whack because of trauma or disease or age or whatever it is. So, you know, I mean, it's just insane. This is all insanity. This has to stop. Justin, it's 2017 now, you know, 2015 and you've got gender equality going on in the cabinet. 2017 now. Can we please stop arresting free citizens for making intelligent choices with respect to what they're consuming and what they're using? And now that it's so obvious, then you're so naked with respect to who it is you're actually protecting with this, which is the LPs, those that want to monopolize cannabis in all of its forms. Well, you know, being naked in 2017 with what we have going on here, you could spark a revolution. So
and promising people with their rights, people who are lacking rights in some avenues,
making fools out of us,
promises and
foolish.
You know, it's totally foolish.
Foolish to believe that we could trust somebody who's nothing more than a puppet for the corporate elite, and we all know it, don't we? I mean, why would I believe you, Justin, when you looked me right in the eye? I asked you, I said to you, I said, if you'll respect individual sovereignty, you'll be the greatest statesman that ever lived. And you looked me right in the eye, shook my hand, and said, I will. And I said, okay, then I will support you. And I worked to help you get elected. And you've arrested 50,000 people so far since then for cannabis? Is that a respect of individual sovereignty? Oh my God. I'm so upset, really. You know, I'm so upset.
It's for those who aren't in Canada who are watching. In Canada, there are a few people, as we mentioned, who don't have the rights, and that's the Native Americans who have lost their promises from Justin Trudeau, the cannabis people, and I'm sure there are others.
Administration after administration after administration has lied to our Native people as well.
Yeah, and it's
they don't serve their
interests. That's really outdated nowadays as well.
So
because we've realized that through the protests with the pipelines.
It's time.
Neil, I had a couple people that they were asking questions about you. Neil Magnuson, by the way, and they're just kind of interested in how to get a hold of you if possible. They're interested in getting.
Well, I'm on Facebook, Neil Magnuson. freedomtour06@hotmail.com is my email address if they want to get a hold of me that way. There is now, I started a page today, an event page for the court case, but somehow I couldn't get it to go public and it stayed private, and then I had to leave because I had things to do, so I got to get back to a computer pretty quick and get that sorted out. But there will be an event page for the court case coming up. So yeah, I'd say that's the way to get a hold of me. Message me through Facebook or send me an email.
And you can see more of Neil Magnuson on, you put out a movie a few years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, Still Trippin'.
Still Trippin'.
Well, I was part of the movie Trip as well, which was the original movie about a trip to BC where they interviewed med growers and med users and activists and things like that. And I had a segment in there where I was doing the Drug War History walking tour through Vancouver. And they came on that tour, and that was part of their movie. And that answered a lot of the questions for the people watching the movie with respect to why there was prohibition and what was going on with that. So when that movie became quite successful, especially in Europe, they wanted to do a sequel to that. And so I'd subsequently done these trips where I inline skated over 1,000 miles each year for 3 years in a row, going across Canada on the Freedom Tour, talking about freedom and what the role of government is supposed to be and the dangers of trying to prohibit substances and the value of cannabis. And so I'd met a lot of the activists across Canada, and they wanted to do a sequel to the Trip movie where we went right across Canada interviewing activists and growers and med users and things.
I've seen it.
So that's what we did. We spent 3 years putting together. It's called Still Trippin', and if you go to YouTube, you put in Still Trippin' full movie, it'll come up, and you can watch it for free. So
and we can all look up to Neil Magnuson for his passion.
Yes.
I was just born this way. What can I say? You know, I came out of a family where I believed that you should do the right thing, and I didn't like seeing people get hurt. And my dad was a bit of a bully, so I didn't like bullies. And I thought, you know, when I got out of that situation with my dad, that I'd be free. And then I found out as soon as I left there that I was just a kid in somebody else's kindergarten, and they were mean and just wanted to use me, and that doesn't sit well with me. So
of course, brother,
you know, it turns out that the cannabis prohibition is the most glaring and obvious example of us not being free, and we're not free in a lot of different ways, folks. These public servants have really come to believe that they're authority. They really think that they get voted into power and that they can do whatever they want with the laws and the bylaws and all these things that they do to us, and they need to be limited in what they can do. They need to not be able to interfere with any individual's right to do or not do what you want to do unless you're harming somebody else. And they need to be accountable if they're doing things in the way of laws that are harming groups of people or even individuals, because that's what justice is supposed to be all about, is that a blindfolded older woman and all that that represents, holding a set of scales where they bring you innocent until proven guilty of having done damage. And then when they prove that you done damage, that goes on the one side of the set of scales, and then the other side is to impose a penalty that balances the scales here. And our public servants have enacted laws and loopholes to get them out of being accountable for what they do. But when you sign into law something and you slide that piece of paper that you just signed under glass, and now you're going to have it enforced with people with badges and guns, if you're doing that to protect the private interests of people, and that's going to harm individual citizens, and that's outside of your purview to do that, that's a heinous crime. That's pulling that side of the set of scales down.
Of course, brother.
So they need to be accountable in that. And one of the ways to protect us is to have them also be transparent, so that when they're on the job, we can tune in on our smartphones and we can see what they're doing. If we had MP Watch, you know, and every MP had a 2-man video crew with them from the time they start the job in the morning till the end of the day, and nothing behind closed doors, no lobbyists.
We're with you 100%,
so
brother.
we would have a very different system, and that's what I'm working
So
for.
Neil, I've
exactly what
got somebody in the chat here asking. I'm just gonna ask you a couple more questions before we wrap up the show. And somebody asked, how would you compare the U.S. laws when it comes to cannabis versus the Canadian laws? And is there anything that you would take away from the U.S. laws?
Well, the U.S. was forced to allow for recreational cannabis use in Denver due to the system that they have and the voting that went on, led by Mason Tvert, who started at the university level and using alcohol is more dangerous than cannabis, or cannabis is safer than alcohol model. He got their voting system to vote in recreational cannabis use in Denver, and then it went statewide, Colorado, and then other states have sort of had to follow because that same thing has been following there as well. They're still far from free, you know, the home of the brave and the land of the free, and They're still trying to impose regulations.
Internet kicked out.
That are doing a couple of things. These overbroad and unjustified regulations that they're imposing, they're trying to justify what they've done in the past. Because I think a lot of people that were prohibitionists in the past should be worried that they knew damn well that they were going forward with policies that were hurting people and a waste of taxpayer dollars to benefit themselves. And that's got to be a crime. So I think that they're worried about that still, and they well should be worried about that. Many of them should be arrested. And also they want to control cannabis. So they don't want everybody just growing their own still. They want to keep it so that, and they've been forced on the medical side, both in the United States and in Canada. They've been forced by voters, by the public, to allow for medical people to not only have access to retail sales, but to grow for themselves, and that's going to stand here in Canada as well. All use is medical, for one thing. I'll throw that in there, that anybody using cannabis, if it's helping you chill at the end of a hard day, or helping you sleep at night, or you're helping you focus on your paper that you have to write, or whatever you're using it for, that's all medical use. It's all subsets of medicine, so all use should be fine anyway. But even if it's not medical, even if you're using it because you want to see what it feels like to hurt yourself, you're a free individual. You should be allowed to do that. If you're constantly doing things because you want to find out what it feels like to hurt yourself, and you're almost killing yourself in the process, well, your family, your neighborhood, that your society has some right to tell you, or to show you what you're doing, ask you if you're okay. But really, if you want to set yourself on fire, then I think it's your life, it's your body, and government has no right being any part of any of that in the United States or here. In the United States, they're founded on some principles that they don't adhere to, but they give lip service to, like, we find these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal and endowed by the Creator with the unalienable right to their own pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. We don't have the same thing here. We're sort of under British rule, and there's a lot of that bullshit. We're still subjects to the Queen, really, sort of. But in my world, in my reality, none of us are subject to any of this stuff. We are all sovereign individual beings, that we have a natural right that supersedes any other buddy's right to bully you into doing what you don't want to do, or not being able to do what you want. The Queen, or I don't give a shit what badge they got, or what hat they're wearing, or how many of them there are, or what book they're referring to. It doesn't make any difference. You have a natural right not to be bullied by anybody. And any public servant, or a queen, king, or dictator that tries to tell you that you can't have celery if you want, or you can't do this or do that, they're violating your rights. Here in this supposed free country, you can go buy bleach, you can buy gasoline, you can buy pesticides and fertilizers and white sugar, and consume or use in any way you choose until you're hurting somebody else. And then you have a natural responsibility not to do that. But all these other laws, they're not lawful in my mind.
Okay, so we'll just really quickly, just so we can end it on a bit of a happier note, we've got a wonderful event coming up here in Vancouver 420, which I'm sure we're going to have lots of interesting things to say there.
Yes, we are.
But can you just quickly tell everyone who's watching about one of the fun traditions that you always partake in? And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when I say this, because you're very well known in the community for this glorious tradition.
The 1999 420 event at the Art Gallery, their protest rally, and became a volunteer right away that day, and everyone after that, and I've never missed one. I started selling weed there with the overseeing of David Malmo Levine, where my son and I set up a table and put out our jars, and David preached hug power and preached it right at the cops through the megaphone. And so every year we came back and we gave away free joints. That was kind of the main thing that we did, was we always made sure that everybody that was there had something to smoke at 420. And as the event grew, doubled, tripled, quadrupled every year, just it got so much bigger every year, we had to come up with enough joints to give out to everybody. And so we've tried to do that with pounds and pounds of weed that's donated to us and rolled up by the Holy Rollers and thrown out at 420. And we have great speakers, we have great entertainment. It's evolved into a mainstream festival protest. And it's been allowed, not only allowed and condoned, but supported by the Vancouver Vancouver City and the police by not interfering, keeping us safe, having officers around, but just making sure nobody gets harmed. It's one of the safest and most peaceful events in the city. We have serious problem with alcohol events all around the city, so we're very righteous in what we do here. Even throwing out thousands and thousands of joints, there's never been a complaint. There's never been anybody that said, hey, I'm 12 years old, I smoked a joint and I got injured by this. Cannabis doesn't harm anybody. Don't believe the lies. Not that young people should be using any drugs, in my opinion, but of all the substances out there, it's so benign. I'm going on a bit, but as Francis Young, the DEA judge, said, it's the safest therapeutically active compound known to man, and that's why we feel safe in doing what we're doing and promoting it the way that we're promoting it. It is a mainstream, super huge festival. We've never had a permit. We've tried on a few times to get one. We tried again this year. Instead, the Parks Board said they wouldn't permit our event, and they would never permit a cannabis event in any parks forever in Vancouver. And that's great because that exposes them for what they are, and it's a political persecution that's happening here. They have alcohol events all over all their parks all the time, all ages alcohol events.
Beer gardens
So
at
yeah,
festivals,
with lots of problems at lots of them too. So, and never a problem at our event. So we're still going to Sunset Beach, of course, and they know it, the Parks Board, even though they voted to not give us a permit. They understand that tens of thousands, maybe even 100,000 people this year, I know some of the estimates got us close to that last year, are going to fill that space and have a great peaceful day of protesting very vehemently at this point.
It's going to be a real protest.
It really is, yeah. This year it's going to be a real protest
You
again.
always take the stage right around 420.
I get the privilege of singing "O Cannabis." I wrote that, I guess, 13 years ago because at that time I was becoming one of the main organizers of the event. There was some less than smart, sort of stupid stoner versions of O Cannabis floating around, and I'm a bit of a patriot, actually. I believe in the Canadian spirit of what it means to be a tolerant and respectful human being, as Canadians are. And so when I was joining this movement and having to really contemplate putting the Canadian flag up with a cannabis leaf on it, and now there's O Cannabis in some not very respectful ways. So I spent a weekend writing a more thought-provoking, respectful version, and it's kind of stuck, and I've had the privilege of doing it at all of our rallies for all of these 13 years, and I've done it right across Canada and on radio stations and stuff like that as well.
And you can also find a video of it online at pot.tv. Yeah.
YouTube.
All right. Yep, on YouTube as well. So we've already gone well over the amount of time we usually do, but we had a lot to talk about this show.
Court next Monday, Main Street Courthouse, 9 a.m. Come if you can.
And Bryson, where can we find you on social media?
The Art of Fact on Instagram, and there's some underscores in there.
All in between them.
Yeah, in between all the words is underscores, but the Art of Fact, 4 different words. That's where you can find me. I'm on Facebook and stuff, but I mostly only just add people that I know on there for obvious reasons. But on Instagram, you can get a hold of me on there. You can find me on there, and you can find me at 1674 Davie Street because that's my home away from home over there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where can we find you online? BC Podcast.
On Instagram.
I do that every time.
I was like, what? Me? Sorry. At BC Budgal on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Massroots. Yeah.
Awesome. You can find me at Carly Marley 420 on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me, Carly Marley, on Facebook. You can tune into the 420 Lifestyle Show every Monday at 4 o'clock. On Wednesdays, we have From Under the Influence with Marijuana Man, Al the Alchemist, and the beautiful Kush Queen. Thursdays, we have Expert Joints with Craig X. On Friday, we have Cannabis Culture News Live with Jeremiah Vandermeer and Johnny B. And really quick before we go, Bryson, did you want to come over here really quickly so we can show off our shirts?
Oh,
and we'll all do a quick little spin for the camera.
You want me to just jump in between from around?
Sure. Yeah, better this way. Let's just get you over it. Here we go. Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Well,
We gotta
get rid of the chairs a little bit here.
Yeah, let's
But
Can they see us?
no, we'll have to scooch down a little bit, I guess. Or listen, we're
No,
good.
we're good.
Yeah,
We're
good. You see them? Okay. Okay. So you ready? Ready? Wait. Move my pen down. And we'll spin around now.
Right?
And
Right down. That's hashtag Fuck Project Gator, hashtag Justin Harper, and there should be a hashtag Hash Helps.
Hash helps.
Yeah, because for all of you people who are feeling oppressed or angry.
Awesome. Thank you so much to everyone who came on the show today. Thank you for everyone who watched, tuned in, shared, liked the video, commented. We love you all and we appreciate your support. And we will see you again next week. Yes, I'm going to smoke some more hash. Will we go?
Thank you. Always smoking hash.
Thanks for bringing the hash.
Yeah.
Did I do that, Justin Harper? Is that from when I said at the protest out there? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
You want to help me MC an event coming up for Health Lifestyles?
You were to send us info.